Welcome, everybody. Welcome. This is John Zegar of johnzegar.com. I wanted to get online today and talk to you a little bit about matter changing matter and the difficulty that goes with that, as opposed to maybe using the quantum model of mechanics and the better likelihood of getting things accomplished through that format. So, in my travels and doing my research here more recently over the past, few years here down in Texas, I've been paying very close attention to it, and it seems to me really prominent down here when I watch people and what they do and how they do it. And I kind of want to talk about that a little bit today. Not in a derogatory sense, but just in an observatory sort of frame of mind. I've been observing people quite a bit down here, and there's things that I've noticed, and some of them have to do with people are very Newtonian down here, three-dimensional, and they believe, it seems, it appears, to me anyway, that the way you go through life is matter changing matter. In order to get something or to accomplish something, and I'm not quite sure manifesting even fits into the vocabulary very much, but they believe you have to go from this consciousness to that consciousness in whatever length of time it takes and whatever distance in order to get a specific thing completed. And here's some examples. People work down here. They work. They just work. They're hardworking people. They go out in the morning very early. I hear them out on the highways very early, going to earn an income. And they have a job they're supposed to do. And whatever the job is, they believe they do that job, I don't know, probably for the duration of their life or until they gain more insight. And they pay the bills with that check. And that's okay. That's all fine and good. But to pay off a 30-year mortgage might take you 30 years or maybe even longer for all I know. That's a long time. To buy a car, a truck or boat, I guess it would be down here, it takes a long time to make those payments. And that's okay too. That's fine. That's what they do. And to accomplish chores that they have around the house or whatever, they are diligent to take whatever length of time it happens to be to get the job done. Back in the old days, I guess that was the way a lot of people were brought up, through the Newtonian model of physics. And we were all given that belief system that you need to work hard and labor and spend your whole life doing a job or a task or whatever for whatever amount of money it happens to be in order to be successful in life, I guess. and get what you want. In turn, that work ethic that I see anyway, and I'm not saying this is even true, it's just an observation of mine, that work ethic transforms over into, their mental goings on in their life, right? That would be logical, in that if they believe they're supposed to do this job here, and for whatever length of time it takes to get it done, it's kind of like having tunnel vision. It's kind of like having, funnels. You're only looking at one specific thing. You're not, it doesn't appear that you're open to other avenues, or for that matter, if you even have the education to be open to other ideas and avenues. And so, eating, I guess, would be an example. That's a pretty simple one. There's a lot of people. I mean, I'm just looking around. I'm just this person in a new world that observes people. And there seems to be, in my eyes, a fair amount of people that are overweight or obese. And an example of how that can come about as a result of matter changing matter is taking that same attitude and mentality. And you look around down here, and there's these little shops. I don't understand them, but there's these little shops everywhere that are called donut palaces or donut kings or donuts, and these little taco things that they eat. And they sell all their product out early in the morning because of the amount of people that patronize these places. And I drive by, and their parking lots are just chock full. And then by what seems to be 10 o'clock, by 11 for sure, they're all closed. And I don't know, everybody goes to an afternoon donut shop or something, but I'm not sure that I'm aware of people having a different view or consideration on the hazards of eating donuts or that sort of thing. The other thing I've been aware of, and this goes along with what I'm talking about, is that I got nothing against barbecue. I got nothing against grilling out, but I'm not sure that it's supposed to be a everyday kind of occurrence. And I mean, Texas is a huge state, and they're all, it's all not next to the water, but you can find different things like fish and I don't know, different things other than meat all the time to be eating. But again, it goes back to the same mentality of matter trying to change matter. And you get focused on one thing, you get tunnel vision on one thing, and you lack the maybe education or knowledge to see what could be a disadvantage to that sort of eating. And again, I guess once you get overweight, it can have harmful effects on you, right? But I'm not quite sure that becomes a priority. So, or at least so I see anyway, around here. So health issues are a big concern. I guess I mentioned that yesterday. I'm pretty much aware that, people that, and this is me just talking to people, interviewing people, if you get sick, you go to the doctor, and that's the way it is. And the doctor will tell me what to do and how to do it and treat me for it. Okay. There's another kind of medical treatment out there, and it's called education. And it has to do with maybe I should change my thinking a little bit earlier on so that I don't acquire a disease or an illness or a sickness. I guess for me, I don't understand being overweight. It's not genetic, it has nothing to do with genetics. It's the same kind of thing with people that are gay. There's no gene out there that makes a person gay. They might want to argue that, but science has reputedly shown that being gay is a choice, and your sexual identity is a choice. It's not genetics. Likewise, being overweight is not a genetic thing in any way, shape, or form. And if you are overweight, that's a choice. That's a choice. Plain and simple. Now, if you have emotional problems that are causing you to use that to cover up the emotions, that's fine too. Go deal with the emotional issues, and you don't have to shorten your lifespan. So that brings us to the point of personalities. Personalities are how you think, act, and feel. Yeah? So, if this is how you think, act, and feel, matter can change matter over a long, lifetime. It takes most people to change things with matter changing matter. Diet, health, education around different options that are available to you to live a better, healthier life. That's your personality. And when you become focused on having tunnel vision and only one thing available to you, Newtonian model of mechanics, then that's the way your life is going to go, because that is how you think, and that's your emotions that dictate who you are. And if you become so embedded with the thought that life is three-dimensional, there's a past, a present, and a future, and we're all material beings living in a physical body, it's probably going to complicate life a fair amount as time goes on. Good possibility it shortens life, causes more trauma, more diagnosis. But again, if you don't know any different, then that goes into the category of ignorance is also a choice. This is just science stuff. This isn't trying to bash anybody or anything, because I'm sure this is pretty prominent in different parts of the country. I just happen to be here, and that's why I'm bringing it up based on my observations. So you ask, well, John, then what's the choice? What's the other option? Evidently, you think you have all the answers and you know better, and tell us about that. There's a quantum model of physics, mechanics, whichever you want to call it, I suppose. And it has to do with viewing yourself as an energy form. Not as matter, because you're not matter. You're absolute. This is just science. This isn't me. You're not matter. You might look at yourself and, see yourself and say, this is me, I'm matter, and, this is my arm, I can touch it, whatever you want to do. And it's vibrations. Every single thing that you're looking at is energy. And it's vibrating. And when it vibrates slow enough, doot, 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 kind of idea, as opposed to really fast, you can see it. It becomes visible. There are people, I can do it a fair amount of times, not all the time, where you can actually see things vibrating and in a wave form. Okay? If you're not aware of it, you're probably not gonna see things in a non-solid form. So if you start imagining that it goes from matter to particle to wave to energy, and that depends on where you are in the spectrum of belief. If you start off with Newtonian, where everything is matter, matter changes matter, and it doesn't work. It's just the stupidest thing in the world in my brain. But then you can get it broken down into, in your mind you, to where you understand that the atom is 99.9999999% nothing inside. There is no matter inside of an atom. We are comprised of, the world is comprised of atoms. Right? Protons, neutrons, all that stuff that's inside. So the majority of an atom is nothing. There's nothing there. So if you can get yourself to stretch your mind, change your personality, your thinking, how you think, act, and feel, into things are made up or comprised of particles, right? And you can take it another step and you could say particles are actually wavelengths. As again, you start looking at vibrations and frequencies. And then you could take it the next step. The next logical step is that the wavelengths actually are nothing more than energy. Right? So there's a way in quantum mechanics where, and this goes on every single day, folks. This goes on 24/7, for as long as the world is. And it's where people can take their mind and come up with an intention, for example. They have a physical illness, a diagnosis. Let's even say it's terminal. And you have two choices. One, you can take traditional Newtonian medicine and go and let them tell you there's nothing more I can do for you, and you need to go home and get your affairs in order. Or you could take the quantum model and with the belief system that a greater intelligence made me, therefore a greater intelligence can heal me. And you can view things as energy, changing how you think, act, and feel. And it's been true in the history of the world and civilization and people all the way back to as far as recorded history of any kind. People can heal themselves. People can change the biology of their body, the chemistry. It's not complicated. It's just not complicated. Through your thinking, you're up-regulating disease and illness and flus and colds and, just an array of things, and cancers and cardiovascular and diabetes and all that kind of stuff. Sidebar, doctors want you to be sick because who are they run by but pharmaceutical companies? They just want to make money, so they want you to be sick. They're not giving you anything that's getting you well. Because why would they? That's not how the world is made up. And everybody on the planet, it seems like, follows suit with their blinders on and tunnel vision and believe that's the one and only way to deal with that kind of issue. And they die. What's the statistics? Somewhere in the 60% rank. The pharmaceuticals that they give you for cardiovascular disease kill you. Close to 60% of cancer patients die of the treatment, not the cancer. It's just all kinds of horrendous statistics that just, if you actually go and read and research, your Newtonian model is killing you. The doctors don't know how to treat terminal illness. They can probably treat trauma, but that's about it. You go around the world in other parts of the planet that doesn't use Western medicine, and they don't have invasive treatment. They don't use pharmaceuticals. They don't do invasive surgeries. They don't do stuff like that. They don't do heart bypass or chemotherapy or things of that nature. An example would be where 3 practitioners come stand over you in a room that might be considered in American standards a surgery room. There is no surgery going on. There might be a nurse there present, sitting next to the patient, and the 3 practitioners are just going with seeing that patient with whatever their terminal disease happens to be cured and in the future, and having never had the disease. Use a cancer as an example. The one that's out there on the internet right now is the lady with the bladder cancer. It's the size of a golf ball. And the nurse, is taking a picture of it while the practitioners are in a belief state that it doesn't exist, and the person is well and healed, along with the patient having the same thought. And in a matter of, again, this is just plain old stuff you can go find on the internet. In a matter of, I believe it's 3 minutes, the golf ball size tumor is completely dissolved, gone. Goes back to America to see her oncologist. The oncologist takes the markers and says, you don't have any cancer, and your body shows you never have had any cancer. I guess that's about how smart Western medicine happens to be. But if you have the power to do that, if you actually knew you had the power to do that, if you were actually educated and trained and given the proper information so that you, number one, can understand it, and number two, you could use it, matter changing matter no longer makes sense. It just doesn't make sense. There's always going to be the jobs that are out there where you have to move things from point A to point B. In order to get them accomplished, you have to put this brick on top of that brick in order to get a wall or a building built. I get that. I understand that. But I'm talking about another level of things that you can acquire, receive through thought alone. I'm not sure that we have to find 30-some years of work in order to pay for a house to own it. I think through quantum mechanics, you can, use the tool of meditation, for example, to set an intention, have an emotion attached to that, accept, believe, and surrender without a doubt. And what happens in the field, which is another whole conversation, what happens is that all of a sudden you have synchronicities. They're not coincidences, they're synchronicities. The universe, the greater intelligence, is telling you what to do, how to do it, and putting people and places in front of you at such time that may lead to you acquiring a residence without 30 years of hard labor. Happens every day. Happens every day. People used to be very good at this, and then the world became modernized, which was the downfall. Now it's important that people get reintroduced to quantum mechanics. There's a wealth of information out there that you can go and read on the internet and learn about it. It's probably not going to make sense. There's a bunch of webinars that you can take that will educate you around how it works. And I would suggest that be the first start. So for me, I'm not an expert at it. I practice it all the time, and it works for me in a lot of different areas. I'm still trying to get better to use it in certain areas of my life. And until I do that, in certain situations, I have to revert back to what I used to do, which was matter changing matter. I have to go get a job for a period of time and get a little bit ahead and caught up before I can go back and focus on how to not live in lack. Living in lack is nothing more than a thought that was in my head, and I am just living that out. And I have blocks and limiting belief systems that I'm struggling to get through so that my life will no longer be in lack. And it's really not. I have an abundance in my life right now. I'm just talking in terms of dollars and cents. And, from time to time I have to go back and do the matter changing matter and working stupid hours to make stupid money to buy myself some time to go and do more of my own private research, which is really what I'm down here for this winter, and just trying to buy myself some time to practice more without any obstructions, distractions, deviations, that kind of thing. I'm just wanting to spend enough time focusing on the quantum model and lack. I've done remarkably well with other physical things that I've had in my life, and for most people, I suppose they could have been terminal, but I've managed to change all of that around by changing different parts of my personality. Sometimes I get frustrated when I'm interacting with people and I'm standing there, talking to another individual who's just totally Newtonian, trying to tell me something about their thoughts of how matter changes matter, and I just don't get it. I just don't understand. Ignorance is a choice, and I need to keep saying that over and over to myself when I interact sometimes and not get so frustrated. I have a little job right now that's the stupidest job in the world, and if you ever knew the company, you would never do any business with them ever. It is just so disgustingly stupid. Their culture is just... Anyway, that's a different story. So, I don't know how long have I been going. So in other words, in my mind, matter changing matter works if you want to spend your entire life living that way, acquiring disease, getting diagnosed, suffering, dying early. One other thought. You have a longevity gene. I don't know if you know that, or maybe this is like too stupid for you to want to listen to, but most of us, not all of us, most of us have a longevity gene. It means you can live. I mean, people used to live for hundreds of years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 900. People used to do that. That's history, you guys. That's truth. That's science. Just go look it up. And then the world was modernized, right? And then people started dying in their 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. And now, culturally, we believe that we're supposed to die, I don't know, 70 to 90 or someplace in there. Stupidest thing in the world. What was the lady the other day? I saw she was 120 and she just died, right? And there's all kinds of stories coming out now of people from 110 to 120 that are passing on. Yeah? Well, science, not me, science is now saying the person has already been born that's going to make it to 150. Science more recently has said the person has been recently born that's going to live to 200 again. I don't know. You can kind of look at it as, maybe I better put that stuff in the wheelbarrow and take it down the block and dump it and come back. Or maybe I might want to think in terms of how I think, act, and feel. So anyway, that's enough for today. I kind of stumbled through it. My apologies. I'll get better. I'm just back doing these broadcasts. I'm going to start doing some YouTubes again, but right now I'm stuck with this other project that I'm doing for a while. So anyway, God bless everybody. Take care of one another, and I'll look forward to talking to you all again real soon. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye.